Hi, I'm Sonnet with Sonnet's Garden Blooms. I want to welcome you all to my channel. Now in today's video, I am going to give you a thrift to treasure. So I am taking 4 items that I've recently thrifted and we are going to flip them. And then I'm taking 3 containers that I recently picked up at the dollar store and we are going to transform those. What timing. Yesterday, the IOD sisters released 3 new transfers and I had a pre-order in, so I was able to get those. And today's video, I am going to show you how we are going to take this transfer and flip all the items. Honestly, if you do like working with smalls and flipping those types of items, this transfer is definitely going to be a game changer. It offers so many different, look at the back. It just has so many fun transfers and there's so many possibilities. As I had already picked out my 5 items that I was going to use or flip today, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can do this and this. And after I was done flipping the 5 items, there's still so much in there, so many transfers available. So it definitely is going to go really far for you. The other 2 transfers that they came out with was Cheers. So if you are a wine connoisseur, that is an awesome one. And then this one is called Desperado. And this one I love too. I just have to show you the back. I think that is so cool. I definitely want to do a dresser with that. So I hope you enjoyed today's video.
Here's another peek at all 3 transfers. It was a bit glary when I was showing you, so I wanted to let you see them again. And if you do want to order any of the transfers, they are available on my website at www.sonnetsgardenblooms.com. But by far, I am totally obsessed with the smaller transfer that we use today. I really think there are so many possibilities. You can do containers, little pots, you can do tags. The list goes on and on. So here I am unpackaging the transfer for you. I am going to show you each of the pages so you can see what all is in it. And the first thing you'll notice is it is a bit smaller than your typical transfer. But look at all these flowers. Oh my gosh, I loved them all. So I used those 3 right away. I didn't use that one, but then look at this page. Full, just packed full of all different little transfers. Every page just had so many possibilities. As I was going through, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with each of them, and I cannot wait to show you. For our first project, we are going to take this basket and we are going to transform it. I ended up getting this on a recent haul. It was, I believe, $2.99 and I ended up paying half price. So I think it was like $1.50. So initially I was going to use Sea Glass by DIY. I then settled on Farm Fresh. It just looked so good with this specific transfer that I finally chose. I had gone back and forth with a couple of the different transfers and finally settled on the one. And the transfer had that same type of blue in it and it worked perfect. So here's the transfer. I pulled the backing off and I placed it. I then take my transfer stick and I just started rubbing. It was a little bit more of a challenge to get it all off, but you can see it worked perfect. I then took the backing and I rubbed it all over the transfer just to make sure that it really embedded in there. And then I took a clear coat and I clear coated the entire project. Recently, I went thrifting. Shocker, right, guys? But I found these two plates, and they were $2.99 each. They are wood, and I've had really good luck with wood plates. So what I've done in the past is I painted them, and then I do a stamp on them, whether like an IOD farm animal stamp, and I even thought like the butterflies. But then I thought, what a perfect opportunity to try to use the new transfers. So what I did is I started off by applying 2 coats of tarnished pearl by DIY to the entire plate. Actually, I should also say, because they were painted on, there was some areas where it was a little raised. So I actually took my sander and I just sanded them up a bit, just so that when I did paint them, that the actual flower or those images that were painted on there didn't stick out. But I did use 2 coats of the DIY paint on both sides. So now that they're painted and dried, I am taking a wet washcloth and I am wet distressing both plates. The plates were blue, so I do like the fact that the blue is coming out because the transfers that I chose had a bit of blue in them. After that, after they dried again, I did apply a clear coat to both plates and let those dry before I put on the transfer. So I did lay out how I wanted the transfer, and then I started applying it. And with the rounded edges of the plate, you just had to be a bit more careful when you're using the stick to put the transfer on because normally it's a flat surface and it's very easy, but because it kind of bevels or rounds, it's just a little bit more difficult. So I didn't apply the whole thing initially. I kind of went down very slowly, and then I kept making sure that the bottom wasn't stuck. I just wanted the transfer to look as perfect as possible. I love how these plates turned out. And I then went back and I added the little blue singings that came with the transfer. So it really tied that whole, the blue coming through on the distressing. And then I clear coated it to finish the project off. So when I was thrifting those plates, I also found this board, and I'm going to attempt it again, charcuterie. Every time I say it, apparently I say it wrong. So what I decided to do with this board is I used apothecary. It is such a fun spring color, and I gave it a coat of apothecary on the front and the back. And then I took poly. I have this, I want to get used up. I love using Big Top, but I wanted to use my poly up, and so we're going and applying a coat to both sides before we apply the transfer, because you do want your any type of paint, whether it be like a chalk style paint or a clay style paint like DIYs, you want it completely sealed and then that poly to be dried before you apply your transfer. So now it is completely sealed, and right away on the top there was like a stamp, like they must have like almost burned the name of the board in there. I put that little round transfer there. I just thought it would look so cute with all of these different, it looks like seed packets on here. So I laid them all out, and I tried to evenly place them so that they were evenly distributed along the entire board. And then I just took my transfer stick and rubbed until it came off. And then once you get that the transfer off, you want to rub it with the back of the transfer to burnish it, to really get that transfer embedded into the project. And then after you do that, then you want to apply an additional clear coat to completely seal the transfer onto the project. For project 4, I found this old like toolbox. It caught my eye right away. I cleaned it up. It had been pretty dirty, and initially I wasn't going to paint the handle. I realized pretty quick that it was going to be virtually impossible not to get the handle painted. So I just broke down and I started painting the handle as well. And in the end, I do like that, how I did that, and then I distressed it back, so it looks really cool. But I did apply 2 coats of paint to the entire piece, including the bottom and the inside. It went pretty quick, and I did use a hairdryer to speed up the process of drying. Now that it's completely dry and the 2 coats of paint are on it, I did go back with a wet rag and I wet distressed it. So I just picked areas where it was raised, and I just took that wet rag and rubbed it. It makes it so much easier to do that. You don't get that mess from rubbing with a piece of sandpaper. No matter what type of like chalk style paint or clay style paint I use, when I'm using sandpaper, it always makes a mess. So by wet distressing it, it's just very easy to do that. What I do then is I rinse out the rag and just keep on using that same rag to do all my wet distressing. So after I was done with the wet distressing, I just took that hairdryer again and just dried the entire piece before I went back and I applied a clear coat to the entire piece to seal it. Now that it's totally dry, I went back and I wanted to cut apart this transfer. That is the nice thing about the transfers, is that you can cut the pieces apart and use them all over or however you want. When I first started using transfers, initially I thought I had to just lay that entire transfer out and use it. Very quickly I realized you can, piece it out apart and just make it fit however you want. And I am absolutely loving how this is turning out. I decide to also cut apart the remaining transfer and piece that other rows on top of that one. And in the end, it all comes together beautifully. So for our 5th and final project here, I did find these 3 containers at the dollar store. I am applying apothecary to each of the containers, and I did put 2 coats to give it complete coverage. Now that they are dry, I do apply a coat of poly to all 3 containers. And again, anytime you want to use a transfer, you want to seal your paint or your chalk style or clay style paint before using the transfer. So I did pick out 3 different transfers from this set, and they kind of go together, but they're all a little different. I liked how this one had roses. The other one almost looked like a rose tag or like a seed packet of some sort, and then this was a different type of seed packet. But they eventually, when I do display them in my booth, I'll have them very close to each other, but I absolutely love how they turned out. And then you clear coat them to make sure that they're completely sealed.
What was your favorite? Mine was the toolbox, guys. I just love how the red comes out with the flowers. I just think it looks so cool, and yeah, I definitely want to keep it. I always have items that I want to keep, but I can't keep everything. So maybe for a little bit, and then I'll end up in one of my booths. But anyways, if this is the type of channel that you do enjoy, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications, so every Monday and Friday when I upload a new video, you'll be notified. And really, my channel is all about DIY, thrift hauls, thrift flips. I take you along to my booths when I go to events. So you really get to see a day in the life of a small business owner. If you like today's video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up, and let me know what your favorite item was. And I have to tell you, I am going to be making a huge announcement on March 28th. So that is during my Monday video, March 28th. Mark it on your calendars. You're going to want to tune in. I am making an announcement, and I'm really excited about it. I have been putting a lot of thought into this, and so I am gonna make the announcement, so be watching for that. I just wanted to give a little teaser. But you guys have yourself a great weekend, and we will see you Monday. Bye.